Hello, everyone. Good morning. We are live. It is that time again. Sunday mic check. I hope everyone is well. While we're waiting for everyone to, or whoever's going to come on the live, just a reminder for any of you that may be catching the replay is that our next episode, episode 172, comes out on Tuesday, and it's going to be a good one. It's an interview that Rajiv conducted with Miguel de la Torre, and it's true. It's great. It ended up we recorded it early, or Rajiv recorded it earlier this year, and it just ended up the timing and everything ended up being perfect in terms of just the content and how relevant it is to where we are today. And I'm excited about this episode, so make sure that you check that out. And then just a reminder that we will still do continuing the conversation on our Facebook Live and YouTube Live, but we will not be offering the audio only version on the podcast feed for just a lot of different reasons, but mainly the the extra work and the lack of just it doesn't have as many downloads and the quality is a little different, and we want to try to make sure that we're offering other platforms. And probably the main reason being that the Facebook Live platform and the YouTube Live platform, like, it's a video platform, so it kind of loses a lot in the translation of just throwing up the audio. But we'll kind of see how it goes. It's been an experiment that we think has gone really well. So yeah, but always give us your feedback. We appreciate it. If you're just joining us, you can say hi in the comments. Let's have a good Sunday mic check today. Find out how everyone's doing, what you're reading, what you're watching, how you're coping, what's good, what's bad, all the stuff that goes with that. So welcome this morning. And yeah, so a lot of good things planned coming up. And then also, if you haven't, if you are good morning, Shannon. How are you today? Thank you so much for popping on. And in case you have been affiliated or curious about being in the Seventh Day Adventist movement, don't forget to check out Rajiv and Bonnie's brand new podcast called Haystacks. Their first official episode was in July, and I think coming up this week or next week is their second. So Sarah, welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. Did you get the sticker, Sarah? I mailed it a little later than I hoped to. Some things at my work got pretty busy this week, and I just got distracted. But I did mail it, so I just want to make sure that you got that. And for those of you that are on here and you're wondering, what is he talking about? What sticker? I had these little things made up, just because it was like a crazy deal, and I had been playing around with this color palette of our logo. Uh, you know, so if you're interested and you do want one of these, I have a bunch of them and I don't know what to do with them. I don't like putting stickers on my stuff personally, like my water bottle and all that. I put them on, or maybe I'll put them on like a written journal, or I have a file cabinet that has a lot of my audio gear that I'll stick stickers on when I get them and stuff. So yeah, if you would like one, just message me. You can email me at jeff@irenicast.com, or you can at the right here. This is my social media handle for Twitter, Instagram, and my public Facebook page. So you can message me there if you'd like it. And yeah, so Shannon, we're in the process of selling our house, and it's a lot of work. We have 4 tours scheduled today, and it's hard to keep the house clean. Dude, you are telling me. That is a lot. So good luck to you on that one. Thank you for taking the time and a little bit of break to join us this morning. I'm honored knowing how much work that is. So the best of luck to you. Shannon, if you like stickers, please, email me. I'll send you one for free. Got a little fly in here. Yeah. Sarah, not yet, but we weren't home yesterday. So it might be in the mail when we get home. Okay, great. Well, hopefully it is, and it has been sent, and hopefully you have enjoyment from it, and whatever you put it on looks amazing. This little, I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but there's this little fly bugging me really bad. So if I wave my hand, trust me, I'm sane. Okay, good. Well, welcome everyone. Yeah, I can send those stickers out if you like one. I have a bunch of them. I may just be a broken record for the next couple weeks on here, just hawking these stickers. Maybe we'll use them as an incentive when we get our email list up coming up here. So if you want one, message me here or email me at jeff@irenicast.com. So yeah, how's everyone doing? Good week. I can't believe it's almost the end of summer already. Like we're headed. It is August. Happy August. I mean, where did the time go? Which is, I guess it's maybe a little cliche at this point, but it feels like it has been so quick but so slow. I feel like March was 3 years ago, but at the same time, it feels like it was yesterday. Janelle, welcome to the Sunday mic check. I hope you are well. Yeah, so it just feels like time is moving slow and fast, and it's weird. Maybe that's just a byproduct of getting older, where things tend to go faster. But then when you reflect on it, you're like, wait, was that yesterday or 5 years ago? I don't know. I do not know. Shannon, I just got a super cool sticker the other day that says 864511320. Have you seen this number? No, I have not seen this number. Ooh, that's interesting. What is that number? Please elaborate. Interesting. I'd look it up, but I can't cut and paste on this interface that number, so I can look it up, and I don't want to go back and forth between tabs and lose everyone's comments on the thing. Here we go. I like that. 86, President 45 on 11/3/20. Okay, that's good. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, man, I sure hope so. We shall see. Sarah attended a small wedding with social restrictions in place, made us nervous, but the DJ reminded people of regulations multiple times and people mostly behaved. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I've been nervous about stuff like that too. We haven't really done anything. Like we've been super careful. We haven't, even though our area opened up restaurants, we haven't jumped out as much or at all. We're staying home most of the time, which is, good and bad. I certainly miss it. I relate with I want to go get my hair cut. When this whole thing started, I just went with a buzz cut because I can do it myself. And when my hair gets too long, it just aggravates me. But yeah, I want to go to a movie theater so bad. It's the thing I missed more than anything. Going to events, hanging out with people, all that kind of stuff. We usually have a quarterly gathering with myself and all the hosts because I live in a different area. So yeah. Came back from the mountains on Tuesday, Janelle. Been chilling ever since. Well, that's awesome. That sounds great. So everyone, welcome to the stream, our very own Sir Reverend, soon to be Dr. Alan. Alan, welcome.
Thank you.
This is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. I actually came on here to talk about vulnerability hangovers, but now I feel super triggered.
You're just popping in for a little message, and then you're popping back.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out to my coffee hour at some point, but I wanted to stop by and say hi. Well, hello. I have a Band-Aid on my face because I had sorry to interrupt your conversation, but that's what I do best. I have a Band-Aid on my face because I went and got I guess a mole removed or two that were really suspicious. Mm-hmm. And I just went there to have the doctor tell me hey, this is worth looking at or not. And instead he took an arc welder to my face and I was like, all right, we're doing this.
I've heard that dermatologists can be a little cavalier sometimes. Like you go in and they're
just he was a primary care. He wasn't even
really?
a dermatologist. Yeah.
Wow.
So he took, hi Janelle. Hi, Shannon.
Just real quick, Sarah, we've also not eaten out, been doing our own hair. Do they have drive-in movies around you? That can be a good option. They do, but for our drive-in theater hasn't opened. It's been like opening in shifts. There's a couple places that are doing like pop-in drive-throughs that we haven't had a chance to check out yet, but I'm really wanting to do that. Janelle trying to figure out whether today's going to come is going to be an issue or not. Definitely not for me. Gainesville is inland, but I have friends on the coast.
Hi, okay. Sarah. Hello, everyone. I have a Band-Aid. You should see the other guy. Yeah, that's what I'm that's what I'll start saying. Man, my glasses are fogging up too. It's so warm in the world. Has anyone else been feeling that way lately?
Whew. That's the only thing that I've done during the pandemic that I feel has been
fight people.
Is that I had my last pair of contacts got jacked up. They were just gone, like fell out, and I couldn't put them back in, and I had to make an eye appointment because the mask and the glasses, I just couldn't do it. Like I tried all the like soap things and everything, and I was like, I just need to go to contacts until I don't have to wear a mask anymore. So I went to the eye doctor and I did the thing. Fortunately, they were super safe and it was fine, but I still felt nervous the whole time. But I got my contacts, so now I don't have to worry about the fog.
You know, I tell everybody I know about you, Jeff, and how I have a friend who remains nameless who put in like temporary contacts for years and just left them in there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, like I keep them for a long time. I eventually, when they came out with like
that, just immaturity or
no, it's just laziness. It never affected me. And in fact, when I went to this particular eye doctor, they said your eyes are perfect. So, you know, aside from the fact that I'm a bit nearsighted, like they said that everything internally looks like the eye of a 25-year-old. So, hey, if that's, I'm taking that to the grave. Like, I'm going to hold on to that one. But yeah, no, I keep them in. Now I get the 30-day ones that you're allowed to keep in for 30 days. I may extend that time a little bit more than maybe I should, but so far I'm getting away with it. Janelle, Florida is pure humidity, fogging up my glasses nonstop. Oh man, I can't.
Yeah, that's the one benefit about living where I do is that it's not humid. So I
dry heat. We don't have a lot of
heat. I feel the pain of everyone who's in humidity. I visited once or twice to humid places, and I don't know how you do it. Keep going.
We did construction work in Mississippi after Katrina. Whew. Oh my goodness. The humidity was
a friend with quotation marks. Means something totally different to me. Okay, well, I'll stop saying that. I don't use quotation marks when I'm talking to other people.
It's just saying
Jeff is it's true. Jeff is more than a friend. He's, you know, family and whatnot. So I just wanted to like come on here and ask you all, you Jeff and everyone else, what you do about vulnerability hangovers when you feel like you've put yourself out there like a lot or too much and you're like feeling the pain of it, you know? Does anyone have like a special remedy or cure for your vulnerability hangover? I've been like looking around and seeing what people suggest, but when you like constantly create content or you put yourself out there in some creative way, whatever you do, it can get exhausting and, you know, you feel vulnerable sometimes. And we're still talking about, there's a little bit of a lag. So I'm sorry, I'm disregarding your comments about humidity.
I went to Texas for my brother's wedding last summer, and the humidity was intolerable for us Californians. Heck, yes, it is. And then Janelle, we just constantly have terrible frizzy hair. I love going north and being like, my hair looks amazing. Yeah, awesome. I am sure. Alan, to answer your question, vulnerability hangover, I do not partake. If we're gonna stick with the alcoholic metaphor, I do not partake of the drink of vulnerability. So
what a hangover. Jeff is like the cure is to never be vulnerable in the first place. Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh.
Sarah, self-care for vulnerability hangovers, mountain hiking. Yeah,
absolutely. I heard that hiking and being out in nature releases serotonin. like that mood stabilizer. I love that.
And Janelle, I'm pretty much always vulnerable. I was told by a counselor it is my strength, but yeah, it's exhausting. I push people away.
I think it is a strength. I think it's a superpower that you have to be careful with. I feel the same way.
Right.
I guess the two like working things, since Jeff, you don't have a whole no like Bloody Mary in the morning or anything, like no hair off the dog.
Joking aside, like I think I handle it in terms of I keep pretty strict boundaries in the midst of my vulnerability. So I feel like, again, continuing the alcohol metaphor, I feel like I'm a moderate when it comes to vulnerability. Is that I when I put myself out there, I always make myself sure that there's no side doors into something that I'm opening up, and I'm careful. Like I try to avoid that. But there have been times where I feel like I've been a little bit overwhelmed, right now being one of them, just because it's like being at home and not having much time for myself. I do need that time, I find. So
yeah. But even creating stuff makes you vulnerable, like regardless of how vulnerable you are to put something out there that you've made or that you've done,
right,
that people are interacting with. You could look at all of the celebrities or all the YouTube personalities or whatever, that it catches up to them eventually, right. And
I would say the most vulnerable I've been doing this work that we're doing is this moment, like these Sunday mic check live.
That's why I'm here. It's a little sip, a little sip in the morning. I think so. The two things that I've kind of come across that I found to be helpful. One, there was this person who was saying to cure her vulnerability hangover, she just tells herself it doesn't matter. If she's being like self-critical, or she feels like she's opened up too much and feeling very vulnerable, she'll literally just tell herself, well, it doesn't matter. And she'll say it over and over as a way of like, of course it does matter. Of course the work that you do and the stuff you put out there matters. But in the venerable words of Pee Wee Herman, your brain tricks you and you play tricks back. And like, the point is, if you can like get out of that like cycle of evaluating yourself based on just what you create, and just kind of widen the context of your life and of everything that happens in the world, it makes you less, less emotionally unstable. Or so I think for me it worked, just saying, oh, it doesn't matter. And of course it does, and of course it will to me, but at least saying that has helped me from time to time.
And Sarah adds, I do feel better when I'm vulnerable, though, like a release of tension. Being yourself, the only tension comes in wondering how it will be received.
Absolutely, Sarah. And that's actually the second thing I think that works for me is, I think for some, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone, but my vulnerability hangovers come about in like the context of being so self-critical. There's always like voices in my head telling me I could have done things better or different, or that I'm failing, or all these different things, like kind of just criticizing myself. And then so when criticism from the outside comes in, it's really hard to listen to, because it's like all this noise is already going on in my head. I can't receive it from anyone else. And when I started working at the hospital, it was like vulnerability boot camp. They hook you up with like 6 people. You all for 6 months we were visiting patients and then like reenacting things in the room about things we said, and had to like just really open up about our internal processes and why we say what we say. And what I learned in all of that is that I don't actually listen to people and to criticism, because I've got too much of it going on in my head already. So the cure for me is to actually like quiet all that down, to quiet down the self-criticism, to really kind of like stand off to the side from myself and look at myself and be like, I'm going to drop a lot of the self-criticism to actually allow other people to speak and to share the things that they see about me or my work or whatever that could be different or could be better, or even the good stuff. Like if I'm just self-critical all the time, I won't even let people say good things about how what I've done or created has affected them for the better. So
I have something to say to that, but before we do that, as an artist, I feel like that I have a weird paradox, or the narcissism that goes with being an artist who needs to share my stuff. and feeling super nervous when I share my stuff. I'm much more nervous about sharing writing than visual art. And she goes on to say, I found my better and truest friends are those who stick by me when I'm vulnerable and then apologize for projecting all my shit on them. I have like 2 people I do this with constantly. I think that that's true. I think that that's part of that vulnerability thing is that, I mean, my spouse is a saint because she is, if from my point of view, overly nice to me and overly praises my accomplishments and my talents, and I'm on the other end of that spectrum. And I know that I can be dismissive when she's genuinely trying to share, hey, you do this really well. And I just, that self-critical mode gets in and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like it's dismissive. So it's a weird cycle is that that vulnerability is like literally pushing people away because then you want to hear that, but at the same time, by dismissing it, you push people away and you prevent creating a space where people are going to continue to do that. And it's
also isn't that the whole point of like doing the work that we do, or putting yourself out there as an artist or someone who creates something or a community leader, is that it will actually be useful to someone or impact someone's life or bring a little bit more beauty into the world. So when that does happen and something positive comes your way, maybe just like revel in it for a moment, be like, this is important. It's an important part of the circuit that's been connected. And I'm with you. I'm usually the one who puts like a damper on it right away and doesn't allow that to actually sink into my like heart. And so, man, this is the good stuff.
All right. Sarah says, yes to the criticism factor. That's why I over edit everything I write. They say kids learn faster than adults because adults are more afraid to fail. So shame gets in the way. Being childlike in our vulnerability would be nice.
I've been saying that on the show all along. It's like my one thing that I always go back to. It is all about letting go of shame, trying again, putting yourself out there. Also, Janelle, like, I know you said narcissism, and I know that like maybe that's true, or you're just using it as a metaphor, but it's not narcissism to put your stuff out there and to put yourself out there. Like that's, I think maybe some of us are conditioned that way, and we have such a view of ourselves that to say anything or to put ourselves out there and share what we're doing is like received like narcissism, or said it's like narcissism, but it's not. It's a gift to the world, and it's a gift to all of us. So keep creating, keep putting stuff out there. I had a really cool like mentorship moment, or like a friend or whatever, who told me early on in my writing and in my career of creating stuff that I should just try to fail early and fail often. It's the only way to get through it. Like Richard Feynman said, if you're doing science and you're not making mistakes, you're not doing science. If you're not able to recognize your mistakes and to change things, then you're not doing science. And like, that's basically the same thing for creation too, is to just keep failing and keep at it.
Yeah. And I'm horrible at that. I mean, this podcast started a year later than it probably should have because I wanted to make sure that we got our shit together. So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword.
Totally.
But yeah, like I think that especially creative process, that's something that people is meant to consume. It is, difficult. There's a lot of yourself attached to that and putting it out there. Like I have stuff sitting here that I know I should just put stuff out, but
for those of you who are just joining, we're talking about vulnerability hangovers. Some of you might be like clergy or community leaders or artists, so share some stuff. Like, do you ever feel like you have a vulnerability hangover? If you do, like, do you have any tips or tricks to get over those feelings or move through them? Please feel free to share. I'm gonna hop off in about 2 minutes to go do coffee hour, but I already feel so much better, Jeff.
So this space for Alan.
That's what this has always been for. Always.
To what you were saying earlier about narcissism, Janelle says definitely metaphor, but in order to be actually successful as an artist, you have to be like, look at this pretty thing I made.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Hit send too early.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you have to fake it till you make it. They say. I mean, all the best. Some of the best trials that have been run have shown our decision making process often happens in our body, and then our brain explains it. So you can actually like live your way into being a more vulnerable person or a more creative person. And
yeah, and then there's just comparisons. Like I like to be a student of things. So things that I love, like I love podcasting, I love film and visual media. So I consume it all the time because I'm a fan of it. So I'm always looking at things, podcasts, and it infuriates me that there are, let's use the podcast as an example, that there are podcasts like ours that are just way worse than ours. Like we put out some good stuff, and
that is where you and I 100% diverge. Like we couldn't be more different. I honestly think genuine spiritual community and genuine spiritual leaders are hard to find and easy to leave. And that the opposite is true for like inauthentic spiritual communities. They're so easy to find everywhere and they are really difficult to leave. And so I don't know. I love creating really like wonderful things and then like 50 people interact with it. That's like my favorite thing in the world. I think that's wonderful. That's how it should be.
I think it's wonderful depending upon what your goal and objective is. And I think that there's time, but the reality of it is the more people listen to the stuff, the more time you can put into it. So from a creator's perspective is that you have a bigger audience, you have resources, and you can be more creative. So there's a double-edged sword to that. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of like quality, like there are people that have that ability to put themselves out there and keep putting themselves out there and grow in public spaces, which is something I fight against and don't have. And as a result, there are people with bigger audiences or bigger following than us that I feel have way less quality. I'm not
because they have more vulnerability.
Right, exactly. And so when I get mad at them
for sharing, Jeff,
for sucking, in my opinion, of like the quality of the work that they're doing, I'm also mad at myself because I haven't put myself out there enough to. So it's this cycle. Thanks for bringing all this shit out now.
You're welcome. This is what this is for. Oh, I love it so much. Also, I just want to say, if you, I've been actually like, well, I don't have enough time to even talk about this, but you know,
that's like
I know. I should be hopping over. Anyway, peace and love to all of you. Keep creating, keep doing your thing. If you're clergy, just keep showing up. You're a gift. I know this time is really hard putting stuff out there. I feel it. I know all of my friends feel it. And if you're an artist, like, just keep going. We need you now more than ever. If you're a writer, if you're a speaker, if you have friends to talk to and be vulnerable with, I think we need more of it at this moment and definitely not less. So, all right. I love you all. Peace. I will see you on the other side.
See you, Alan.
Wait, that sounds really ominous. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Please. All right. Bye.
Take care. Janelle, I just want to highlight some of the things you said. Also, much easier to share non-personal art. Like, I'm damn good at drawing Pokemon, and I will show that off. But when I do paint, it's autobiographical. It's much harder to share. Right? I would imagine. Also, I actually need to sell my art because that's where I want to go as a career-wise. But personal stuff is hard to let other people have. And then finally, Janelle, thank you. Don't be so critical. Love you guys. You're so vulnerable. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I struggle and try all the time to not be so critical. So it's getting there. Sarah saying goodbye to Alan. That was a nice little pop in. That'll happen from time to time. Alan is a verbal processor, and there are things on his heart that he just has to get out. And if we haven't, because we have an interview coming up, so we haven't done a lot of recording lately, and he just needs to talk, which is good. It works for us. It works for our content. It's always nice to have someone here on the Sunday mic check that helps me have someone to play off of. I feel like I do better with a co-host. I've tried working on some solo stuff, and it's like sometimes, like, you know, how we have an episode and there's just that intro where it's just me kind of given, so which we'll have in this next episode, just like, hey, check this out. I was re-record those like a bunch of times because it's just like, I don't know, need people to bounce off of. So I appreciate all your comments when we do these Sunday mic checks. I guess this is also an exercise for me to get used to talking off the cuff without face-to-face interaction, but I always appreciate it when people pop on. So, yes, Janelle, for my fellow external processor. Yeah, Alan, Alan's a textbook external processor. Oh, music again. Music is pure vulnerability, speaks the words we can't always say. That's for sure. Back in the day when I was, I don't know, maybe like for an evangelical youth pastor, it's par for the course. It's almost stereotypical, but mostly it's just out of convenience because you sometimes you don't have a big group, you don't have enough people, but I had to do worship. So, learn to play guitar, all that kind of stuff. So that was always a tough one because I'm not like a singer and I know just the basic chords or whatever. But it was weird because speaking of music and vulnerability and kind of doing stuff, I was doing some work this week, and I was moving some stuff around in one of the rooms, and I found my guitar. Well, I knew where my guitar is. I pulled my guitar out, and I had my old worship binder. So I busted that out, and I just started singing the songs, trying to get past like, okay, I'm not going to think about the words. I'm just going to think about, the feeling and stuff. So just, singing, playing my guitar, and my daughters were in the other room playing Minecraft. And oh boy, I look and they're peeking around the corner and they're giggling because they haven't really heard me like sing or play guitar that often. So it was kind of a new experience for them. So they weren't sure how to react. So their reaction was to giggle. And I got a lot of joy and pleasure out of that. It was fun. Anyway, you said music, that made me think of it. And then connection to vulnerability, being on stage singing in front of people was never my favorite thing. But anyway, Janelle, always a great cure for vulnerability hangover. I'm assuming you're talking about music also. There's some good stuff out there. That's one thing during the pandemic. I've really started listening to music a lot more often because podcasts for me are a commuter medium. So when I'm driving somewhere, I'll listen to it. But because at first I was strictly working remotely for my job, I didn't have a lot of commuting. So I got back into music. Not got back into, but started redistributing the ratio of music to podcasts, and it's been nice. And plus, there's been some really great, some of my favorite artists doing fun stuff on Facebook Live. I think it was just last night or the night before. Jennifer Knapp had her Facebook Live concert. She's been doing that a lot more lately, and as you know from if you've listened to the episodes where we had Jennifer Knapp on the show, I'm a huge fan, and I always listen to watch her. Greg, you were good at it though. I'm assuming you're talking about the worship thing, and thank you. I appreciate that. I will take that compliment and just say thank you. I will not add to it. Yeah. So what music, Sarah, if I can't see who's like specifically on through this, but Sarah, if you are still on, I'd be curious, like, do you sing, or is it like just listening to music kind of helps you get into a mode, or play an instrument or whatever? And if so, what's your go-to music where you're just like, this is what I listen to when I'm in this space to cure my vulnerability hangover? Janelle, yes, I was talking about music, and I listen a lot more now. Friends, one in particular, have introduced me to a lot of new music. Not new, but new to me. Yes, well, it's new. I was just listening to something. I think Rajiv posted it on his Facebook page where he posted this. I think it's his web series. I don't know, where it's like what's in your bag, and it was with Chuck D. And he was at I think it was like a record store, and he's showing like what he got at the record store. And he was talking about it doesn't have to be new music; it just has to be new to you. And there's a lot of good stuff out there. Janelle, what's your preferred genre? Are you kind of all over the place in terms of music? Do you kind of settle in, or maybe like what are your top 3 artists? Just give me a sense of what your music palette looks like. I know that's hard for some of us because some of us is just all over the place. We could listen to whatever. But I'm curious. I always like to know what people consume for their media, because I think it says a lot about what they're interested in, what things catch their eye, their ear. But music in particular, it's amazing that something that someone else can create can become so personal and integral to your life and where you're at. And I think music is probably the epitome of that, because it stays with you. You know, it's not like I don't know, it just stays with you. Well, maybe I'm just projecting and generalizing, but I feel like it does, at least. Janelle, I'm all over the place, but grunge and indie folk are my top genres. Oh, okay. Grunge. I don't know. For some reason, someone added me to, I think it's the Liturgist, or now it's lit.com Facebook thing, and occasionally I'll comment on it. And someone made a comment about Live. Do you remember Live, the band? And it brought me back to, it was one of my favorite grunge albums was, well, I guess maybe like later grunge. They were a little bit later, but the Throwing Copper album. And I was like, man, and it put me all in a nostalgic mood. So I listened to it a couple times, and man, I love that album. Live, Throwing Copper, amazing album. So wonderful. Sarah, not singing, only listening. Depends upon the mood. Flowbots for lately. I have that written down. I still haven't checked it out. I'm going to. I promise I will. Lately for all the social justice related vulnerability. Thrice for a lot of faith related vulnerability. I've got an artist for every mood. Very nice. Very nice. Thrice. I'm a pretty big fan of Thrice. I like Dustin. Some of his solo stuff. I really like. I don't know if you've heard any of the solo stuff that he does, but I feel like he has such almost a different voice. Like when I first heard his first solo album, I didn't recognize it because it was so different. It was kind of like more like bluesy, folky kind of sound. And he does this acoustic covers album. I'm sure you've heard it, or if you haven't, check it out. He does this acoustic cover of Wrecking Ball, Miley Cyrus. I just love it. I just love like unique covers of different songs. But yeah, Thrice is a good, really good. And I'm gonna check out Flowbots. I swear. I promise I will. Janelle, Florence and the Machine is probably the current favorite, but I also really like Wood Brothers. I believe we've already discussed my love for Soundgarden on one of the early episodes with Rajiv. Yeah, Soundgarden is pretty amazing. Me nodding when ask if you remember Live, like you can see me. It was a great album. It was really good. My friend has been sending me a lot of metal though, and I like some Mastodon. Oh, I love them. Killswitch Engage. I love Killswitch Engage, but Howard as the lead singer. Everything else is fine, but with Howard Jones as the lead singer, I love that. He's probably my favorite metal singer. And Times of Grace. I haven't heard of Times of Grace. I'll check them out if you like it. Right now my favorite band of all time, I'm sure I've said it a bunch of times, but Alter Bridge, Miles Kennedy, hands down, best rock singer, period. His stuff with Slash, so good. So good. But I also listened to, as I was listening to one of Mark Maron's latest podcasts, and he was interviewing John Legend, and I was listening to his latest album, and I really enjoyed it. It was like this really cool, like kind of that throwback to like the Motown soul style, but infused with some new stuff. I really like that. I really like that soul music, hip hop. Really enjoy some of that. And I found, Janelle, speaking of Soundgarden, there's this, I just heard it today. I need to remember the name. I gotta say it. So forgive me. I'm gonna find this because I just added it to. I have a playlist called Covers. So all the covers that I like of songs. I love this. So it's an artist named Jenna. I think it's Jenna Bell, and she does this with some group called The Stories. But she does this acoustic version of Black Hole Sun. Oh, you gotta check it out. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, Times of Grace has Jesse from Killswitch. I like Jesse. He's hit and miss for me though. Sometimes I think some albums Killswitch is a little inconsistent when Jesse was the thing, but that's my opinion. I get we're all in a different place. Sarah, he does sound different. You're talking about Dustin. I saw him live these past few years. He can't scream the same. Thrice the Window is really nice. One exploring doubt. Oh yeah, that is a good one. I really enjoy that one. So Sarah, are you a lyric person or a music person, or that has to be the whole combination? I used to be like almost 100% all lyrics. Like I really enjoyed lyrics, but now I don't know. The older I get, I understand the interplay, and it was largely influenced by my love for film and realizing like there's more to than what you're just seeing on the surface and how something is framed. And then I started applying that same thing to music, and how like the tones and how all of it complements each other. Anyway, um, have you heard the Mastodons? Yes, I have. I have heard the Mastodon Stairway cover. Uh, Okay, so you have heard that cover of Black Hole Sun. Ah, I love it. I just discovered it and I added it to my playlist right away. I love it. It's so wonderful. Although I will say, I think the best cover of all time is Johnny Cash's "Hurt," the Nine Inch Nails covers that he did. I just think that is, people should take notes when it comes to how do you do a cover song. And then I think I'm gonna pull up this list so I can remember it, but there's Charles Bradley, the soul singer, does a cover of Black Sabbath's "Changes." Whew, I'm sure a lot of people have heard that one, but that one's also a really really good one. Sarah, the lyrics make the song for me. Yeah, lyrics they're so important. They're so important. Which is why I love it, because I love that there can be a song where you listen to the lyrics first and you're like, ugh, what does this mean? Why is this so whatever? And then if you learn like about where those things are coming from, then you have a whole new appreciation for it. So I'm trying less and less to be dismissive, where I used to be very dismissive. I heard something, I don't like that. And then I'll research and be like, well, is there something behind that? Am I missing something? Am I missing like a slang word, or am I missing like some sort of metaphor here? And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I am missing something. Now I can appreciate this. Other times I do my research and then I'm like, okay, now I can justifiably dismiss this and say, nope, not for me. Not good. So yeah, I'm usually not nostalgia for old technology. I like moving forward. I like tech stuff. But that's one thing I miss. I don't miss the CDs. Like I don't miss having to put in a CD and all that kind of stuff. But I miss pulling out that CD booklet and listening to the music and just like flipping through the artwork, the way that they did the lyrics. I remember my biggest disappointment when I would get a new CD was if they just had like a single fold and there weren't any lyrics in there. And this was like, there wasn't like an abundance of lyrics that you can find online at this time. Forgive me for dating myself, but I loved the liner notes of a CD. It was like my favorite thing. Or even the cassette tape, like to be able to fold out that big. I love that. Janelle used to be more of a lyrics person because I like to sing along. But early quarantine, I reconnected to my funk jazz pianist friend Trenton, and he sent me a bunch of cool instrumental stuff. So now I appreciate both. Though I also love Nickel Creek and have always loved their instrumentals. I like instrumentals sometimes. But usually I just like a good singer. But sometimes I think the only instrumental stuff I listen to is occasionally I listen to movie scores, because I like that. But then also it's hard for me sometimes because it's such a combined medium. So in fact, my favorite band, Alter Bridge, my favorite singer, Miles Kennedy, he was in a band before called Mayfield 4. And then before that, he was in like a cosmic fusion jazz band or whatever, and it was all instrumental. He was the guitarist in that. So I do listen to that every now and then just because I want to support the artists that I love. But 9.5 times out of 10, I don't go instrumental. I definitely like the whole story. Not that instrumentals can't tell a story. I understand that also. This is good. This is fun. I like talking music. Maybe we should convert. I don't know how comfortable people are, but convert these Mic Check Sundays to open Zoom meetings or something. I would like to be able to see faces. But Some of you may be just, well, I don't know, time zone wise. Some of you may just getting up in the morning or whatever. Um, Janelle can sing pretty well, but I'm instrumentally challenged, so I still prefer lyrics. I've dabbled in learning to play several instruments. Yeah, my first instrument that I learned to play was in elementary school, and the only reason I learned to play it was because at one point in the school day, you had this option of either continuing, I think it was like, I don't know, you had to read or do learning stuff, or you could go to the band room and learn an instrument. So like, I'll do that. And everything was taken except for saxophone. So the first instrument I played was the alto saxophone. So I think I still have it somewhere in my garage, and I can still, visually I can remember, and I'm sure that I could do like some of the basic stuff. And that was how I learned to read music, which is a skill that I never ever used again after that. Um, but then I learned guitar because it's like, I guess you have to as a youth pastor. It's like the law. So I learned basic uh basic chords, and then just out of necessity had to play sometimes. So I like that. My sister is wonderful. She has a beautiful voice. She's already she was better at guitar than me than after like the first week that she picked it up. So I always jealous of that, but she's wonderful. She's amazing. She's such a talent. I I did learn the recorder. I think I took a music class in community college, and they made us do the recorder, but I don't remember any of that. But for some reason, I played the saxophone for like 4 years, so I think it just stuck more. The recorder was just like a one part of a music class that lasted for a semester. Music theory, which I couldn't get into. And in fact, when I started learning guitar, the only thing my lessons were for like a year was, I want to learn how to play this song. And that's it. And then it was just more like my guitar playing skills is more just mimicking as opposed to creating anything on my own. And I'm fine with that. Sarah, I've got a strong memory for trying to blow into a trumpet when I was in 4th grade. And I couldn't make it sound like anything resembling music. So I did percussion. I've got rhythm in my hands and my feet. Can't dance or play a drum set. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think I picked up a trumpet too. Like when you're just in the band room, you want to try the other instruments, and that was hard to get that thing. That and the flute. I tried doing the flute. I couldn't get the like breath right or whatever. Now I can play the hell out of an empty soda bottle, but for some reason that flute was hard. But yeah, trumpet, man, you got to put a lot of force into that. So I do not blame you on that one at all. At all. I've done piano, keyboard class in high school, but all the keyboards broke halfway through. It was a low budget rural school. So we were never replaced. So I never learned to play two-handed. I tried flute for a bit, dabbled in violin. All the men in my family play guitar, and I was like, I'm going to be the first female guitarist in my family, but I never took the time to stick with it. You went through the gamut for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's great if you want to put the time into it, but it sounds like you have better art to invest your time into, and you need time to start putting googly eyes on stuff. Keep it up. My brother in Mexico left his zither at my house, and I've been tempted to play it. You should. If it's at your house, it's yours. Possession, 9/10 of the law. Never really. I did for a while. Like the last couple years, I was leading worship. I got a mandolin. I ordered a really cheap mandolin from like Musician's Friend, and it came busted. So I called and said, "Hey, this is busted." And then they sent me like a twice as more expensive mandolin as like an exchange, because I guess they didn't have that one anymore. And I really enjoyed that. I even incorporated it in, like I performed it live a little bit with our worship team, because some of that songs, that mandolin sounded really good, although it's super hard. Like I have big, I don't know if proportion wise, but I have like big clunky fingers, so I could do a chord, but I could never do like a bunch of stuff. And the mandolin at first was really hard because it's so tiny. I wish they made like a, I don't know, wide neck I don't know. Anyway, but I really like the sound of it. So any of the strumming thing, and I also have a ukulele that I played with a little bit. But again, it's just super small. I think sometimes it just looks funny when I'm playing it, but I really like the sound for certain things, like going back to covers like that Over the Rainbow song by that a Samoan singer. I can't pronounce his name. I feel horrible. I think his first name is Israel. But it's all over the place. That little acoustic or ukulele cover of Over the Rainbow. I still think it's so beautiful. Love that song. But yeah, I finally decided I've had enough creative hobbies and didn't need to add an instrument to my queue. Yeah, I mean, can you really ever have enough? But we all got to decide what's best for us. So I get that for sure. Wish we just had all the time in the world or all the time and resources in the world to do everything. It'd be nice. All right. Well, I think we'll call it a day on this one. I will see you next week for Sunday Mic Check. Don't forget that our newest episode's coming out, episode 172 on Tuesdays. Great interview with Rajiv that Rajiv conducts with Miguel de la Torre. It's really good. Very excited to put that out there. And then we will have a continuing the conversation with the rest of the cast, or most of us, depending on who's available, the Monday after that. And just a reminder, that audio is no longer going to be on the podcast feed. But you can always go back for the video on Facebook or YouTube. They sit there. So yeah. So thank you for joining us for this Sunday Mic Check. Janelle, I dabbled in knitting last fall. My kids was like, draw me Pokemon for lunch notes. The knitting thing, I can't. I'm so envious of people that have that kind of patience and dexterity to just sit there and do that. But yeah, I just don't have I don't have it in me to try that, or crocheting or whatever. All right, well, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful week coming up, and we will be back. Oh, just real quick, if anyone you're listening and you want one of these stickers that I made up, you can message me and I will send you one for free. I was just playing around with these. I'm going to be hawking these for the next few things. They're totally free. I'll send you one. I use Sticker Mule just to mess around with again, because I was just playing around, trying to be creative with my graphic design and mess around with our logo. Anyway, if you want one, you can message me here on all of the socials or email me at jeff@irenicast.com and I will get your address and send you one. So goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will see you next week. Thank you.